For the first time in more than a year, the federal government is giving a sign that some of the restrictions at the Canada-U.S. border will be lifted soon. Calls to open up the border have been growing louder, but the word came out quietly last night from the Prime Minister's office. Now we have coverage from both sides of the border. Magda Gebrselassie is with us from Washington, but we begin with Janice McGregor in Ottawa. So Janice, what do we know so far?
Well, this readout, which followed the Prime Minister's conversation with the premiers last night, it continued kind of this slow march towards a gradual reopening of the border. But at least we now have a line of sight on the next two steps. As of mid-August, fully vaccinated Americans and U.S. residents will be allowed to visit again, to see their friends and family, to shop, to play tourist. And by early September, the Prime Minister's office said, Canada could be in a position to welcome fully vaccinated travelers from all countries. Now, we don't have information yet on what this means for people who can't be vaccinated for medical reasons or for children under 12 for whom there are no currently approved vaccines. We will be watching for this, though. We know that there are family members here in Canada, for example, who have really missed them. We had suggestions earlier in the day, yesterday at press conferences and the health briefing, that something like this was coming. The government had to say something, frankly. The current restrictions expire next Wednesday. But groups that represent businesses, some of whom have fairly expensive decisions riding on exactly what these dates are, they seem to be only learning this plan when the rest of us did with the statement late last evening. Now, the government's comfort level with reopening the border, of course, it's always been based on data. Specifically now, the levels not just of cases in Canada, but vaccinations in Canada. In fact, the last order in council extending the border restrictions actually wrote right in the desire to have 75% of the population vaccinated. Now, we are on track by mid-August, if you look at current trends, to have 75% of eligible people with needles in arms by then. But I guess the question is, what if that slows up? What if it falters? Could the government hit pause on this plan? Could specific countries also be excluded from the September plan if they have a bad outbreak related to a specific variant? Those are the kinds of red flags and very protective caveats that we'll have to be watching out for when the ministers give us more complete details on how this is going to work next week.
A lot of unanswered questions still. We know you'll be watching. Thanks for this, Janice. And now let's bring in Magda Gebrselassie from Washington. So Magda, we are talking about people from the U.S. who are fully vaccinated when it comes to these travel restrictions. We know just a few months ago, the U.S. had surpassed Canada on that front. But now we see those rates lagging as cases rise in some states. So what's the current conditions in the U.S. on that front?
Well, when it comes to the COVID cases right now, there really is a surge across the country, and it's expected to continue like that for some time. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is actually predicting that there could be between 54,000 and more than 300,000 new cases by the end of the first week in August. At the same time, vaccination rates have really slowed in the country, and U.S. officials are blaming a lot of that on misinformation. So take a listen to U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy.
The truth is that misinformation takes away our freedom to make informed decisions about our health and the health of our loved ones. During the COVID-19 pandemic, health misinformation has led people to resist wearing masks in high-risk settings. It's led them to turn down proven treatments and to choose not to get vaccinated. This has led to avoidable illnesses and death. Simply put, health information has cost us lives.
So right now, about 56% of people that are age 12 and up are fully vaccinated in the country. But in several states, especially in the South, it is much, much lower than that. And here is Dr. Joseph Cantor explaining why that's a concern. He's the Louisiana State Health Officer.
97 to 99% of both the cases and the deaths that we've seen over the past 5 months have been in unvaccinated individuals.
And so what we're seeing now is that some parts of the country are addressing this with more measures. Los Angeles County is now going back to requiring people to wear masks indoors as a result of all of this. Arthi?
Right. Thank you for this, Magda. That's Magda Gebrselassie in Washington.